before he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, before the blood stained his coat on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. He was just a boy, picking cotton, dodging bullets of hatred, and daring to dream of justice. This isn't just history. This is a battle cry in black and white ink. Welcome to the story of Congressman John Lewis, not as a legend, but as a living flame of resistance. This is March, Book 1, the beginning of a movement, and the price of being brave in a world that wasn't ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to BookPodCastZone. I'm Emma.
And I'm John.
Ready to dive deep into the historical currents and, the really profound personal truths that shaped one of America's most pivotal voices for justice.
Yeah, exactly. Today, we're not just recounting history, are we? We're taking the sources, the really heart-wrenching stories and the powerful insights from March, Book 1, and sort of distilling them down for you.
Yeah.
Our mission is really to give you a shortcut, maybe, to understanding the very roots of the civil rights movement through John Lewis's eyes, offering you those, aha moments that make the past feel incredibly present.
Yeah.
And, well, profoundly relevant.
Precisely. We'll explore how a young boy from rural Alabama became this transformative figure in American history, how entire movements are born from deep conviction, and the often unseen, just immense sacrifices made for genuine progress.
Yeah, those sacrifices.
Right. By the end of this deep dive, you'll gain, I think, a thorough understanding of the strategic brilliance and the, unparalleled personal courage that define the early days of nonviolent resistance. You'll really grasp how those foundational moments shape not just individual lives, but, the very trajectory of a nation.
Okay, so let's unpack this incredible story. Let's dive in. Our journey begins in the 1940s, right?
Yeah.
On a sharecropper's farm nestled in rural Alabama. The book paints this incredibly vivid picture of John Lewis's childhood, and it's really crucial to understand this setting.
Absolutely. It's the foundation.
It is. This isn't just some, picturesque pastoral scene. Far from it. It's where the harsh, the inescapable realities of Jim Crow segregation first touched a young, dreaming boy, imprinting themselves on his consciousness. This foundation is absolutely essential for understanding everything that follows in his life, I think.
You really have to picture it.
You do. Imagine for a moment this vast, sweeping, rural Alabama farm in the 1940s. The air thick with the scent of damp earth, ripening crops, stretching out seemingly endlessly under a wide-open sky. It's here, amidst the timeless, demanding rhythms of farm life, that young John Lewis spent his formative days. Often, as the book details, tending to the family's chickens. A simple chore, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it ironically fueled his dreams of a bigger world beyond the immediate confines of his farm and the rigidly segregated society surrounding him.
But even with those dreams, the reality...
Exactly. Even as he nurtured these innocent childhood dreams, the stark, pervasive reality of Jim Crow was this omnipresent, oppressive shadow. It defined every single aspect of life. The book immediately places you there, making you feel that acute contrast between his youthful aspirations and the suffocatingly confining world he inhabited.
And it gives concrete examples, doesn't it?
It does. A truly stark illustration of this systemic injustice, and one that deeply impacted him, was the rundown, segregated school he was forced to attend. It wasn't merely about separate facilities, which were almost always inferior, right? It was about the clear, brutal message of inferiority and limited opportunity etched into the very fabric of his daily existence.
Yeah, the resources alone, or lack thereof.
Right. Imagine a classroom where the textbooks were literally handed down from white schools, often years, sometimes decades out of date. And resources for even basic supplies like pencils and paper were almost non-existent. This wasn't just physical separation. It was an intentional system designed to stunt the intellectual, social, and economic growth of an entire generation.
Making the very act of getting an education a form of resistance.
Absolutely. Finding dignity within it, pursuing it. It was an act of quiet, persistent rebellion in itself.
And this environment, it makes what came next even more profound, I think. What's truly compelling here is how Lewis's family played an absolutely foundational role in shaping his moral compass during this period.
Their resilience.
Their resilience, exactly. In the face of profound daily oppression, it wasn't just an act of survival. It was a deeply ingrained way of life. It taught him perseverance, self-reliance, and this quiet, unyielding strength.
And faith played a huge part too, right?
A huge part. The narrative emphasizes how their deep faith, in particular, was absolutely critical. It wasn't just a personal belief system or, a Sunday ritual. It became an ethical framework, a guiding star. It laid the indelible groundwork for his nascent spiritual and ethical development.
Which connects directly to his later philosophy.
Directly. It influenced his later profound adoption of the nonviolent philosophy. This familial bedrock provided him with an inner fortitude that would prove indispensable in the monumental struggles to come. Their ability to hold on to hope, dignity, and a sense of self-worth despite constant systemic dehumanization. That's a powerful lesson in itself. It shows how personal values can become the bedrock of a movement.
It really does. And it was amidst this upbringing in a place that could feel incredibly cut off from the wider world
Yeah.
that the first stirrings of activism began for him. This detail is so crucial, I think.
Because it shows how ideas spread.
Exactly. It shows how inspiration and information can travel in the most unexpected and powerful ways, even into isolated rural settings. The book highlights how radio broadcasts of dynamic preachers advocating for justice ignited a spark in him.
Just voices on the airwaves.
Just voices. Think about that for a moment. These were disembodied voices of justice, sound waves filling a humble room. Yet they carried immense power and possibility. They spoke of fairness, of righting profound wrongs, of a world where equality wasn't just a distant dream, but a divine mandate, a moral imperative.
And for a young kid hearing that?
For a young mind grappling with the everyday injustices he witnessed, the discriminatory practices, the profound inequality surrounding him, these broadcasts were a revelation. They showed him that his own feelings of unease, his quiet longing for something different and better, were shared by others, and that there were indeed powerful voices speaking out against the very system that confined him.
So it wasn't just news, it was connection.
Yes. It was a realization that he wasn't alone in his desire for change, and that change, however distant or difficult, was indeed possible.
And that very concept of connection is something the authors Lewis and Aydin master so well throughout the book. When we look at the broader picture, Lewis's personal experience of that connection becomes the anchor for understanding these massive societal forces. What's truly insightful here is how these seemingly small, isolated experiences planted the deep, resilient seeds for his lifelong fight for equality. From a broader historical perspective, Chapter 1 really underscores the profound, pervasive impact of Jim Crow laws on young Black Americans in the rural South.
It wasn't just about water fountains.
Not at all. It extended deeply into psychological, social, and economic opportunities. These laws dictated where they could live, where they could work, where they could learn, even limited the very scope of their dreams. They meticulously limited horizons and reinforced this rigid, often brutal, social hierarchy.
Creating an environment where just existing with dignity was defiance.
Exactly. This systemic oppression created an environment where simply existing with dignity and aspiration was an act of constant, quiet defiance. And as you mentioned, the role of family and faith was absolutely crucial here. They weren't just support systems.
They were more like institutions.
They were the primary institutions, often the only ones available, fostering resilience and providing a vital moral and spiritual framework for resistance. Without that deeply rooted internal compass, navigating such a hostile and dehumanizing environment would have been exponentially harder. These early sparks of activism, even forming subtly in the mind of a child long before any public action, vividly demonstrate how conviction can quietly form, just waiting for the right catalyst to ignite.
And to give us a bit more historical context, the pervasiveness of Jim Crow in the 1940s.
Yeah.
It really can't be overstated, can it?
No, it was totalizing.
It wasn't just a collection of discriminatory laws. It was an entire social and economic system meticulously designed to maintain racial hierarchy and Black subjugation. In education, as we touched on, it meant severely underfunded, often dilapidated schools for Black children, ensuring they received a demonstrably inferior education compared to white students, a direct bottleneck on future opportunities.
And in public life.
In public spaces, it manifested as ubiquitous whites-only signs on everything from restrooms to restaurants, relegating Black citizens to separate, often substandard facilities if they were even available at all. It was constant, daily humiliation.
And the economic side, too, sharecropping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Economically, it trapped many, like Lewis's family, in cycles of poverty through exploitative sharecropping systems. It limited access to land ownership, fair wages, business opportunities. This systemic oppression was the very air they breathed, a constant, tangible force shaping every aspect of their lives.
It's vital context.
It is. What's also key here is connecting Lewis's childhood to the broader backdrop of post-World War II America. Black veterans were returning home, having fought bravely for democracy abroad.
Only to face segregation at home.
Exactly. Denied basic human rights and dignity in their own country. This dark, infuriating hypocrisy fueled a growing, undeniable demand for equal rights. It set a powerful stage for the burgeoning civil rights movement.
And the radio's role in that?
The radio, which we touched on, was incredibly significant. In a time before widespread TV or the internet, these radio broadcasts were literally a lifeline, a clandestine connection to a wider world. They transcended physical segregation, bringing news, ideas, and the voices of justice, like those inspiring preachers, directly and intimately into homes, even in the most isolated rural settings.
Almost revolutionary for its time.
It really was an almost revolutionary tool for connection, inspiration, and the quiet spreading of a movement.
And that ability for inspiration to transcend barriers is a key theme the authors explore. When we consider their contribution, John Lewis himself and Andrew Aydin, they bring distinct and powerful strengths to this foundational chapter.
Lewis's perspective is just so immediate.
It is. Lewis's intimate, first-hand account of his formative years truly grounds the story in an undeniable authenticity. You're not just reading about abstract history, you are feeling his personal journey, his childhood dreams, his raw, early encounters with injustice directly through his eyes. This deeply personal lens makes the broader historical narrative incredibly relatable and emotionally resonant.
And Aydin structures it so well.
He does. Andrew Aydin masterfully structures the narrative to balance these poignant personal anecdotes with profound historical weight. He seamlessly weaves in the complex context of Jim Crow and post-WWII America, ensuring that while you're intimately connected to Lewis's individual experience, you also grasp the massive societal forces and historical currents at play. This balance is truly what makes the book so accessible, engaging, and impactful, whether you're reading it or, listening to it.
Yeah, it really works.
It ensures the story feels personal, specific, yet universally resonant, a true testament to their collaborative brilliance in graphic storytelling.
So, as you reflect on Lewis's early journey, maybe think about how your own early experiences, even the seemingly small or mundane ones, might have shaped your fundamental values or your understanding of the world. Lewis's story shows us how truly profound those early lessons can be, how the seemingly quiet moments of childhood can lay the groundwork for a life of extraordinary purpose, courage, and profound societal impact.
That's a powerful thought.
It is. If you're finding these insights as compelling as we are, and we certainly hope you are, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe to BookPodCastZone, and share this deep dive with your friends and family for more updates. Your support helps us continue these insightful explorations into incredible stories like John Lewis's, bringing these vital historical narratives to an even wider audience.
Definitely appreciate the support.
Okay, so as we move into this next chapter, the stakes escalate dramatically for Lewis. This is truly where it gets really interesting, I think. In Chapter 2, a teenage John Lewis, now about 15 years old, experiences this truly pivotal awakening.
A turning point.
A major turning point. His world expands dramatically, shattered by news that travels rapidly and transforms his understanding of resistance. He hears about Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and a Montgomery bus boycott. And critically, he hears about it through the pivotal figure of activist James Lawson.
Lawson is key here.
Absolutely. This isn't just a historical footnote. It's the spark that truly ignites his lifelong, unwavering commitment to the cause of civil rights. The narrative takes this dramatic turn when the quiet, insulated world of rural Alabama is profoundly shattered by this news. News that travels quickly, not just by radio, but by word of mouth through this burgeoning network of activists committed to change.
Because the network was already building.
It was. Lewis, still a teenager in 1955, learns about Rosa Parks. Not just her name, but the profound, courageous act of her arrest, her defiant refusal to give up her seat. An act that resonated far beyond the confines of a bus in Montgomery.
In King's emergence, too.
Simultaneously, he hears about the emerging charismatic leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his powerful words, moral vision, strategic insights. They were beginning to galvanize an entire community. And it's crucial to highlight James Lawson's specific role here. He wasn't just a messenger.
He was a teacher, right? A strategist.
Exactly. He was the essential conduit, a profound theological student and activist who introduced Lewis to the transformative, almost radical concept of nonviolent resistance as a strategic weapon.
Not just a moral stance, but a strategy.
Precisely. For Lewis, still relatively isolated in rural Alabama, this news wasn't just distant headlines. It was a revelation that there was a tangible path, a coherent strategy, and formidable leaders, actively and courageously fighting the injustices he knew so intimately.
It must have been electrifying.
Absolutely. The sheer geographic distance and the slow pace of news dissemination back then make the spread of this news, and its profound impact on a young man in rural Alabama, even more impressive. A true testament to the powerful resonance and galvanizing force of the Montgomery movement.
It truly was a life-changing encounter for Lewis, and you can feel his internal world just shift in the narrative. Dr. King's teachings, particularly his eloquent articulation of nonviolence, didn't just inform Lewis intellectually. They ignited his passion for civil rights on a deeply spiritual and personal level, setting him on an entirely new trajectory for his life.
You see that transformation happening.
You really do. The book vividly portrays Lewis's internal shift, this profound moment of personal transformation from quiet observer to burgeoning activist, but it wasn't an easy decision, as the authors make clear.
No, there was conflict there.
Right. The narrative beautifully captures the profound personal conflict Lewis faced. He was genuinely torn between his family's natural caution and his own burgeoning, undeniable urge to act.
His family must have been terrified for him.
Understandably so. His family, with lived experience of the very real and brutal dangers of challenging the status quo in the Jim Crow South, urged him to be careful, to prioritize his safety, to just survive. Yet Lewis's burgeoning sense of justice and the inspiring examples of Parks and King pulled him irresistibly towards action, towards a more just world.
That internal struggle.
That internal struggle makes his eventual courageous decision to act even more powerful. It demonstrates the immense personal fortitude it took to overcome not just external societal threats, but also the heartfelt concerns and admonitions of those he loved most. His commitment solidified when he made the conscious, deliberate decision to attend workshops on nonviolence.
Which weren't just lectures.
Not at all. These weren't just theoretical sessions. They were rigorous, practical, strategic training grounds designed to prepare activists for the unimaginable. This decision wasn't passive. It was a conscious, deliberate commitment to a new philosophy and a new way of living that would utterly define his activism for the rest of his life.
It really makes you think.
It does. This raises an important question. What does it truly take for a young person, especially one from a background of caution, survival, and deep familial loyalty, to step so profoundly beyond comfort and into action, embracing a path fraught with such danger and uncertainty? It's a leap of faith and conviction.
Massive leap.
And that leap, as you highlight, is critical. Chapter 2 powerfully demonstrates the transformative power of nonviolent philosophy. Here's a key insight about nonviolence. It wasn't just a moral stance. It was a strategic weapon.
Explain that a bit more.
By refusing to meet violence with violence, activists, led by figures like Dr. King, forced the oppressors to reveal their own brutal, unjust nature to the world. It stripped them of any moral high ground. This ethical framework became a profoundly effective tool, turning public opinion against the very system designed to suppress them.
So it shifted the narrative.
Completely. It shifted the focus from merely reacting to injustice to actively challenging it in a way that exposed its brutality without mirroring it, creating a moral dilemma for the nation. Furthermore, the chapter underscores the monumental influence of key figures like Parks and King in galvanizing a national movement.
Their individual actions had huge ripple effects.
Huge. Their individual acts of courage, Parks's defiance, and King's powerful, unifying leadership provided the necessary moral vision and the initial spark that resonated across communities, inspiring countless others to join the struggle. And finally, it vividly highlights the immense personal courage required to embrace activism in such a dangerous era.
It wasn't a casual choice.
Far from it. This wasn't a choice for the faint of heart. It meant risking one's physical safety, one's freedom, one's educational prospects, even one's life, all for the promise of a more just society. The book makes it clear that this courage was not just a fleeting impulse, but a deeply held, transformative conviction.
And historically, the Montgomery bus boycott itself, that was a huge undertaking, wasn't it?
Monumental. From a historical perspective, the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott was a truly landmark event, a watershed moment that reshaped the landscape of American civil rights. It wasn't just a brief protest, it was a year-long, meticulously organized effort sparked by Rosa Parks' courageous arrest on December 1st, 1955, and the subsequent call for a citywide boycott.
Over a year.
381 days. Thousands of African Americans in Montgomery steadfastly refused to ride the city's segregated buses. Instead, they walked miles to work, carpooled with neighbors, organized complex, elaborate transportation networks, demonstrating an unprecedented level of unity, determination, and community resilience.
Incredible organization.
Truly, this sustained act of defiance ultimately succeeded in desegregating the city's buses, but its impact stretched far beyond Montgomery's city limits. It served as a powerful, undeniable model for nonviolent direct action, proving that collective, sustained action could indeed challenge and overcome deeply entrenched systems of oppression.
And you mentioned the Fellowship of Reconciliation, FOR.
Yes, and as the book reveals, FOR played an absolutely critical role. This organization was instrumental in spreading nonviolent strategies, not just as a mere tactic, but as a comprehensive philosophical and spiritual approach. They conducted extensive workshops, often for weeks at a time, teaching not only the practicalities of sit-ins and boycotts, but the profound spiritual discipline of non-retaliation, drawing heavily from Gandhian principles of satyagraha, or truth force.
So it was deep training.
It was rigorous training that prepared activists mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for the extreme violence and psychological torment they would inevitably face. The boycott fundamentally marked a crucial shift in the movement, moving beyond individual acts of defiance to organized mass resistance. It showcased the profound power of a unified community acting in concert against injustice, laying the groundwork for countless future, larger-scale campaigns across the South.
Wow, it really puts Lewis's decision into perspective.
Absolutely, and when we connect this to the broader picture, the author's contributions in this chapter are particularly striking and highly effective. John Lewis shares raw personal insights into his awakening. You truly feel his profound passion, his intense intellectual curiosity, and even his palpable fear as he grapples with these new, powerful ideas and the immense implications they hold for his young life.
It feels very human.
It is. This isn't a sanitized academic historical account. It's a deeply human one, allowing us, the listeners, to truly feel his journey from internal conflict and uncertainty to unwavering, resolute commitment. Andrew Aydin, in turn, provides a clear, engaging framework that not only presents Lewis's personal story with intimate detail, but also seamlessly connects it to the broader, momentous events of the civil rights movement.
Setting the stage.
Exactly. He meticulously sets the historical stage, ensuring that as Lewis's individual consciousness awakens and expands, listeners also grasp the monumental historical significance of the Montgomery bus boycott and the burgeoning nonviolent movement it spawned. This structural clarity is absolutely perfect for an immersive listening experience, drawing you in emotionally and preparing you for the deeper dive into the specific, courageous actions that followed.
So as you reflect on Lewis's experience, if you think about a moment in your own life when a new idea or maybe a compelling figure completely changed your perspective, or perhaps inspired you to act, maybe it was a book, a powerful speech, a documentary, even just a profound conversation that just clicked, shifting your worldview.
It happens, doesn't it?
It does. That's the kind of transformative power Lewis experienced here, resonating deeply with the way information and inspiration spread, even today. Though perhaps through different channels like social media and viral movements in our digital age. What was that moment for you? It's worth considering. Don't miss a beat of this journey. Hit that like button, subscribe to BookPodCastZone, and share this deep dive with others who want to be well-informed and inspired by profound history. We're just getting started, and there's so much more courage, strategy, and history to unpack.
Much more to come.
Okay, so what does this all mean for John Lewis now? Chapter 3 brings us to the electrifying energy of the Nashville student movement in the late 1950s. This is where John Lewis truly steps onto a much bigger stage, moving from a quiet rural boy to a committed activist. He joins other dedicated students at Fisk University and becomes rigorously trained in disciplined, nonviolent tactics.
From individual conviction to collective action.
Precisely. It's a pivotal moment where individual conviction truly transforms into powerful collective action. Lewis's journey takes him from the quiet solitude of rural Alabama to the vibrant intellectual and social environment of Fisk University in Nashville. And it's here that his college experience becomes far more than just academic learning. It rapidly transforms into this vibrant, dynamic hub for burgeoning activism.
Fisk was a real center for that, wasn't it?
It really was. He joins a remarkable group of young, passionate students, and together they undergo intensive, almost military-style training in nonviolent resistance. This wasn't just a casual commitment or some theoretical exercise. It was a rigorous, demanding discipline that required immense mental and emotional fortitude.
They practiced enduring abuse.
They did. They practice how to absorb insults, how to react to physical abuse and spit without retaliating, how to maintain composure, dignity, even a profound sense of inner peace in the face of extreme provocation. The detailed training in these nonviolent tactics wasn't just about moral high ground. It was strategically important, absolutely crucial to the success and impact of their campaigns.
Because it controlled the narrative.
Exactly. It ensured that their protests remained peaceful and dignified, relentlessly exposing the inherent brutality of segregation without giving their opponents any excuse to escalate violence in a way that could discredit the movement in the eyes of the public. They were preparing for battle, but their powerful weapons were peace, truth, and an unwavering resolve.
And that preparation, that's what sets them apart, I think. What's fascinating here is the sheer resolve and almost superhuman self-control it took to prepare for violence. Not with the intent to retaliate, but specifically to absorb it, to bear witness to it.
A conscious choice.
A very conscious choice. The Nashville sit-ins, which form the vital core of this chapter, weren't impulsive actions born of anger. They involve meticulous planning, strategic foresight, and profound discipline. The students, including Lewis, carefully strategized how to desegregate Nashville's public spaces, specifically targeting lunch counters in downtown department stores.
Why lunch counters specifically?
Well, this was a bold move, precisely because these were highly visible, economically significant, and symbolically charged locations. It immediately placed Lewis and his peers in the crosshairs of hostility. They knew the risks were immense, and they went in with open eyes.
The book describes those preparations
Vividly. It illustrates the tense scenes of students preparing for abuse, mentally and physically bracing themselves for the spitting, the insults, the threats, the shoves, the physical violence they were sure to face. Yet, they held fast to nonviolence, demonstrating incredible discipline and a profound, almost spiritual courage. This wasn't passive resistance. It was an active, deliberate choice to confront injustice with dignity, knowing the severe physical and emotional toll it would exact. Their ability to do this under immense, terrifying pressure speaks volumes about their deep commitment and the power of their training.
It really does.
This chapter brilliantly showcases a fundamental truth about the movement, the strategic brilliance of sit-ins as a nonviolent protest method. They were incredibly effective because they directly disrupted commerce, hitting segregationist establishments where it hurt most financially.
The economic pressure.
Huge economic pressure. More than that, they forced a direct, undeniable confrontation between the blatant injustice of segregation and the peaceful, dignified response of the activists. This confrontation, often captured by burgeoning media outlets, vividly highlighted the moral bankruptcy and sheer ugliness of segregation, making it impossible for the broader public to ignore. It exposed the raw violence of the system without the activists resorting to it themselves.
And the power of the group.
Immense. Secondly, the chapter profoundly emphasizes the immense power of collective action. Young activists, by acting together with unity and purpose, amplified their impact far beyond what any individual effort could achieve. Their unity provided immense strength, crucial mutual support, and a collective voice that was exponentially harder for the authorities to dismiss or suppress.
But the risks were enormous.
Enormous. And finally, the narrative starkly underlines the severe personal risks involved. We're talking about not just arrest and jail time, which was a common occurrence, but brutal physical violence, public humiliation, social ostracism, and even threats to their academic futures and personal safety. These actions weren't just protests. If we connect this to the larger narrative, they were deeply personal acts of profound defiance against systemic racism, demanding an extraordinary level of personal sacrifice and courage from each and every participant.
And the backdrop to this, the late 50s South, it was incredibly volatile.
Extremely. To truly grasp the intensity of what Lewis and his peers faced, we need to understand the volatile historical context of the late 1950s South. This wasn't a time of polite disagreement or gradual change. It was a period of rampant, often state-sanctioned, segregationist violence.
Violence was common.
White supremacists, often aided or actively ignored by local law enforcement, met civil rights efforts with brutal force bombings, beatings, intimidation, even murder were not uncommon. Yet, despite this constant, pervasive danger, the movement incredibly gained momentum.
That resilience is just astounding.
It is. This almost unbelievable resilience and determination in the face of such overwhelming odds is truly astounding and speaks to the profound moral imperative driving these activists, their belief in a higher purpose. And out of this crucible of protest and repression, a hugely significant and transformative organization emerged. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC.
SNCC. A major player.
Absolutely. With John Lewis as a key formative leader, SNCC became the vanguard of youth-led activism, empowering young people to take direct action, demand immediate change, and truly shape the direction and tactics of the burgeoning movement. Its formation was a testament to the students' burning desire for self-determination and their unwavering belief in the power of grassroots organizing.
And the media started paying attention.
Critically, media attention to these sit-ins became a true game changer. News reports, powerful photographs, and eventually nascent television footage of peaceful, dignified students being brutalized by angry, screaming mobs brought national attention to the civil rights struggles in a visceral way. This direct visual evidence began to significantly shift public opinion across the country, making it harder for the rest of the nation to turn a blind eye to the profound injustices of segregation.
Seeing is believing, sometimes.
Often, yes. Lewis's contribution here, as described in the sources, is incredibly stirring and deeply personal. He offers a direct, visceral, first-hand account of his role in these early sit-ins, and in doing so, he emphasizes the immense emotional and physical toll they took on him and his fellow activists.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
Not at all. He doesn't shy away from depicting the palpable fear, the raw pain, the sheer exhaustion, which makes the personal sacrifice incredibly palpable and real for us, the listeners. You're not just hearing about an historical event, you're feeling the profound weight of the experience alongside him.
And Aydin's role in shaping that narrative.
Andrew Aydin truly crafts a narrative that expertly balances action with reflection. He captures the dynamic energy and immediate danger of the sit-ins, the terrifying chaos at the lunch counters, the police arrests, the mob violence. But he also ensures that there are crucial moments for Lewis's personal insights and his profound reflections on unity, sacrifice, and the deeper meaning of their actions. This balance is precisely what keeps listeners not only hooked by the drama and urgency, but also allows them to understand the deeper moral fortitude and the strategic significance behind these incredibly brave actions.
This chapter truly underscores the incredible power of youth-led movements, doesn't it? We still see echoes of this today, whether it's for climate change, social justice, or even political shifts. Young people are often the first to challenge the status quo, to demand change with a fresh perspective.
They often have less invested in the existing system, perhaps?
Maybe. Looking back at the Nashville strategy, what do you think was truly revolutionary about their choice to sit in and not fight back? It's something that makes you think about profound courage, doesn't it?
Absolutely. What was revolutionary was the deliberate rejection of the oppressor's terms. Instead of engaging in a physical confrontation, which segregationists were prepared for and often provoked, they presented a moral one.
A different kind of fight.
Exactly. This strategic nonviolence wasn't about being weak. It was about being incredibly strong in a different way. It forced onlookers, and eventually the nation, to choose sides, not based on brute force, but on moral righteousness. The courage it took was immense, because they were opening themselves up to harm, relying solely on the power of their truth and the public's conscience. That's a profound leap of faith in humanity.
It really is. And that's exactly what makes it so resonant. If you're captivated by John Lewis's unwavering courage, the strategic brilliance we've discussed, please show your appreciation by liking this deep dive, subscribing to BookPodCastZone, and sharing it far and wide. Every share helps illuminate these crucial stories and ensures they continue to inspire and inform future generations.
We really do appreciate it.
Okay, moving into Chapter 4. This chapter is a heart-pounding journey into the escalating dangers of the Nashville sit-ins. This is a segment of the book where Lewis and his fellow activists truly face the fire.
The intensity ramps up significantly.
It really does. They were confronted relentlessly with arrests, with a barrage of brutal verbal abuse, and terrifying physical violence from angry mobs and unyielding police. The stakes here become incredibly high, and the personal risks involved in their courageous actions become agonizingly clear, forcing them to confront their deepest fears.
The book puts you right there in the middle of it.
It absolutely does. It throws us right into the visceral chaos of a sit-in at a segregated lunch counter. Imagine the scene with me. Students, both black and white, sitting calmly, quietly at the counter, attempting to order food, while an angry, hateful crowd gathers ominously around them, growing increasingly agitated and violent.
Just pure hostility.
The description of these tense scenes vividly portrays the escalating physical and psychological violence they endured. Students were spat on and beaten, subjected to horrific racial epithets and dehumanizing verbal abuse. their bodies becoming literal targets for the raw vitriol and deep-seated hatred of those clinging desperately to segregation.
Yet they didn't retaliate.
That's the incredible part. Despite this overwhelming provocation, despite the immense paralyzing fear they must have felt, the activists demonstrated a truly remarkable and almost unfathomable steadfastness. They remained resolutely nonviolent, committed unwavering to their disciplined training. Their refusal to retaliate, to meet violence with violence, was a powerful and profoundly deliberate choice.
Designed to expose the attackers.
Exactly. Designed not for their own safety, but to expose the brutality of their attackers and highlight the inherent moral bankruptcy of segregation, even as it cost them immeasurably, both physically and emotionally. It was a strategy of moral jujitsu, turning the aggressors' violence against themselves.
And Lewis's role in maintaining that discipline. This commitment, Emma, to non-retaliation was profoundly influenced by Lewis's growing leadership within the movement. His own actions, his unwavering resolve, his incredible dignity in the face of such dehumanization became an inspiring and sustaining force within the Nashville student movement.
Leading by example.
Truly. As he personally endured the hatred and violence with profound grace, he set a powerful example that encouraged others to stay committed to the principles of nonviolence. Even when every instinct screamed for self-defense or escape, this wasn't just about tactical leadership, it was about profound moral and spiritual leadership, sustaining the inner strength and resolve of the entire group.
But the book also shows the toll it took.
It does. It delves deeply into the profound emotional and physical challenges of enduring such sustained hatred and violence. It speaks to the deep psychological trauma of being dehumanized, spat upon, assaulted, threatened simply for seeking basic human rights and dignity. This raises an important question, one that the book grapples with. How does one maintain spiritual strength, inner peace, and a profound sense of purpose in the face of such systematic dehumanization and relentless physical assault?
Where did that strength come from?
Lewis's story suggests it came from a deep well of faith, a profound belief in the justice of their cause, and the unwavering support of their community. It's an incredible testament to their conviction that they could withstand such a barrage of injustice.
And the impact of this nonviolent approach becomes clearer here.
Yes. Chapter 4 truly explores the immense physical and emotional toll, underscoring a critical insight. That nonviolence is not passive, but an incredibly active, courageous, and demanding choice. It required immense discipline, profound inner strength, and almost superhuman self-control to absorb blows and insults without striking back. It forced the oppressors to reveal their true, ugly nature to the world, and simultaneously it allowed the activists to demonstrate their unwavering moral superiority.
And leadership was key to keeping it going.
Absolutely crucial. Secondly, the narrative clearly illustrates how strong leadership, like Lewis's, was absolutely crucial in sustaining morale, commitment, and cohesion within the movement, especially when fear and exhaustion were rampant. In moments of extreme danger and profound uncertainty, leaders like Lewis provided the steadfast example and the steady hand that kept the activists unified, focused on their nonviolent principles, and believing in the ultimate triumph of justice. Without such principled leadership, the movement could easily have fractured or devolved into chaos, losing its moral high ground.
And paradoxically, the violence against them helped their cause.
It did. Finally, this chapter highlights the profound, undeniable impact of these public confrontations on shifting societal views. What's fascinating here is how the violence explicitly intended to deter them, the very brutality unleashed on peaceful protesters, actually had the opposite effect. It shocked the nation, served as a powerful indictment of segregation, and helped galvanize public opinion in their favor, proving that the moral force of nonviolence could turn even violence into a tool for achieving profound social change.
And the context of 1960 America. Things were really heating up nationally then.
They were. The historical context of 1960 America provides a critical frame for these deeply unsettling events. This was a time of rising national tensions, a stark, often violent divide between deeply entrenched segregationists and a burgeoning, increasingly determined civil rights movement. The violence in Nashville wasn't an isolated incident or an anomaly. It was part of a larger, brutal, coordinated resistance to change across the American South.
But the movement was still gaining ground.
It was, despite everything. Despite this constant, pervasive resistance and danger, the civil rights movement was undoubtedly gaining traction, building momentum, becoming impossible to ignore. The book vividly describes how images of peaceful protesters being attacked brought the visceral reality of the civil rights struggle directly into living rooms across the nation, making the injustice undeniable.
Seeing those images must have been shocking for many.
For many Americans living outside the South, seeing the stark contrast between the activists' nonviolent dignity and the attackers' brutal hatred was a profound moral awakening. The raw, graphic reality of the sit-ins and the vicious backlash they faced forced the nation to confront the ugliness and moral bankruptcy of segregation in a visceral, undeniable way. The chapter also briefly touches on tensions within the broader movement over tactics.
Not everyone agreed on nonviolence.
Oh. While Lewis and many others were staunch, unwavering advocates of nonviolence, the sheer brutality they faced inevitably led to intense debates within the broader movement about the efficacy, long-term sustainability, and moral boundaries of this approach, foreshadowing future complexities and strategic discussions within the civil rights struggle.
Which makes sense, given what they endured.
It does. In this chapter, John Lewis delivers an incredibly raw, deeply moving, and profoundly inspiring account of facing violence with dignity and unwavering commitment. His voice, particularly if you listen to any recordings or the spirit captured in the text, conveys the visceral, agonizing reality of these confrontations, making his steadfastness in the face of brutality deeply resonant and emotionally impactful for us, the listener.
You really feel it.
You can almost feel the weight of what he and his comrades endured, the physical pain and the emotional anguish. Andrew Aydin, complementing this raw personal narrative, masterfully employs dramatic pacing. He ensures the intensity and terror of these events translates into a truly gripping narrative, building suspense and profound emotional impact. The way the story unfolds, detailing the relentless escalation of violence and the unwavering, almost superhuman response of the activists, keeps you utterly on the edge of your seat, truly feeling the magnitude of the struggle and the extraordinary courage required to persist.
It's powerful storytelling.
It's a testament to their combined storytelling that such painful, harrowing moments are conveyed with such raw power, authenticity, and enduring inspiration.
Imagine being in that lunch counter, just sitting there, refusing to fight back while being spat on, screamed at, physically assaulted, knowing that your nonviolence was both a profound moral statement and a meticulously chosen strategic decision. It forces us, the listeners, to ask ourselves about the true meaning of courage and conviction. How do you find that kind of inner strength?
That profound spiritual fortitude.
That quiet dignity when everything around you is chaos, hatred, and physical threat. It's a question that resonates deeply even today, reminding us of the human capacity for resilience.
Truly remarkable resilience.
If you're moved by the incredible resilience and unwavering spirit of John Lewis and the Nashville students, please show your appreciation by liking this episode, subscribing to BookPodCastZone, and sharing it with everyone you know. Let's keep these powerful stories alive and impactful, learning from the past to shape a better, more just future.
Yes, please do.
All right, so our deep dive into March. Book 1 culminates in a truly triumphant, exhilarating moment. This final chapter describes the stunning victory of the Nashville sit-ins, a hard-won success.
After everything they went through.
Exactly, where sustained, persistent protests finally forced Nashville's mayor to publicly support desegregation, leading directly to the integration of lunch counters. It's a moment of profound success that powerfully demonstrates the undeniable effectiveness of persistent, nonviolent action.
Persistence paid off.
It really did. The victory in Nashville wasn't a sudden, unexpected event or a stroke of pure luck. It was the direct, hard-earned result of sustained protest. The book emphasizes this crucial aspect, Coach. It wasn't a one-off sit-in, a single demonstration that swayed public opinion, but continuous, unwavering pressure week after week, month after month, that ultimately led to success.
They just wouldn't quit.
They simply refused to give up, maintaining their visible presence, their dignified message, their moral pressure, until the city could no longer ignore them, until the economic and social pressure became unbearable. The pivotal, climactic moment arrives when Nashville's mayor, under immense pressure from the protests and a city that was bleeding economically, publicly supports desegregation.
A huge public concession.
Monumental. The significance of a public official, a figure of authority and power, conceding to the demands of the movement made the victory tangible and undeniable. It wasn't just a quiet backroom deal. It was a public acknowledgement that the deeply entrenched system of segregation had to change, and the direct, immediate, visible result of this unwavering persistence.
Integrated lunch counters.
The integration of lunch counters across Nashville. While this might seem like a small, isolated step to some unfamiliar with the context for the activists in the Black community, it was a profound, tangible breakthrough. A visible, hard-won testament that their immense sacrifices, their bravery, their rigorously applied nonviolent strategy had indeed brought about real, meaningful change in their community. It was a clear, unambiguous victory in a very specific yet widely influential battle.
But the book shows it wasn't just pure celebration, right? No, this chapter beautifully captures the dual, almost conflicting emotions surrounding this triumph. There's the undeniable jubilation of activists who risked everything, the sheer elation, the catharsis, the profound relief of seeing their immense sacrifices finally bear fruit. This deeply felt joy, however, is contrasted powerfully with Lewis's sobering reflection on the long road ahead for civil rights.
He knew it wasn't over.
He understood, with the wisdom of someone who had faced so much, that this victory, while incredibly significant, was merely a single, albeit important, battle won in a much larger ongoing war against systemic injustice. His closing thoughts aren't just about the immediate success. They are delivered with a profound gravitas, emphasizing both the essential undying hope for the future that such victories undeniably inspire, but also the enduring, necessary need for continued perseverance.
More good trouble needed.
Exactly. He knew deeply and instinctively that the comprehensive fight for full equality and justice was far from over, and that vigilance, sustained effort, and more good trouble would be required for decades, even generations to come. This raises an important question for all of us. How do you truly celebrate a victory, allowing yourself the joy and relief, knowing that the larger battle is far from over and that countless more struggles and sacrifices lie ahead?
It's a tough balance.
A delicate, profound balance between celebrating progress and recognizing the enduring, necessary work yet to be done. This chapter forcefully reiterates a foundational lesson of the civil rights movement: the immense power of persistence in achieving systemic change.
Keep showing up.
It's a profound insight that seemingly insurmountable barriers, seemingly unbreakable systems of oppression can be overcome through unwavering, sustained effort and a refusal to give up. It's not about grand gestures once, but consistent strategic action applied relentlessly over time. Furthermore, the narrative explores the bittersweet nature of civil rights victories.
Wins are often steps, not finish lines.
Precisely. While the integration of Nashville's lunch counters was a monumental achievement, Lewis's reflections make it clear that these victories, while profoundly significant, are often just crucial steps in a longer, ongoing, arduous struggle. Each success opens the door to new challenges, new injustices to confront, new frontiers for equality. And what's particularly fascinating here is Lewis's profound ability to see his own journey, his individual struggles and triumphs, as part of a continuous unfolding arc of justice.
Connecting the past to the future.
Connecting decades of struggle to a moment of historic change. He powerfully ties the narrative to Barack Obama's 2009 inauguration, a symbolic crescendo of progress, while simultaneously and explicitly highlighting that significant challenges still remain and the good trouble must continue. This connection allows us to understand that the profound fight he began is not just dusty history, but an enduring, evolving struggle for a more just and equitable society, linking his past efforts directly to the present and the future.
And historically, that Nashville victory really did serve as a model, didn't it?
It truly did. Providing historical context for this victory, the 1960 Nashville desegregation truly served as a landmark event far beyond its local impact. It was more than a local success. It became a powerful, inspiring model for how effective nonviolent protests could be, not just in theory, but in achieving tangible, measurable, immediate results.
Fueling bigger campaigns.
Exactly. This local success, in turn, fueled immense momentum for larger, more ambitious campaigns across the South. The nonviolent strategies refined in Nashville, the profound lessons learned about organization and discipline, the sheer courage displayed by the student activists, directly inspired and informed subsequent, more ambitious undertakings like the Freedom Rides, which would further challenge segregation across state lines and at a national level.
And the connection to Obama's inauguration in the book, that framing is powerful.
Incredibly powerful. The book's narrative masterfully connects Lewis's personal journey, not just to the immediate aftermath of 1960, but strikingly and powerfully to Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009. This powerful narrative framing device demonstrates the long-term reverberating impact and the enduring legacy of the movement Lewis helped build. Standing on those steps, witnessing the inauguration of the first Black president of the United States, Lewis embodied the profound, almost unimaginable progress that had been made over decades.
But he also acknowledged the work remaining.
Crucially, yes. He also acknowledged through his reflections within the book that despite this historic achievement, challenges still remained, and the long, arduous march for justice was far from over. It's a powerful illustration of how history builds upon itself, how the courageous actions of one generation profoundly pave the way for the next, and how the fight for equality is a continuous relay.
So Lewis's reflections really bring it home.
They do. John Lewis's contribution here is profoundly moving and provides a deeply resonant conclusion. His reflections on both the triumph of victory and the enduring nature of hope truly anchor the audiobook's emotional core. He conveys not just the raw joy of the win, but the deep wisdom gleaned from a lifetime of fighting for justice, offering us, the listeners, a powerful, inspiring conclusion that resonates deeply with timeless truths about courage and change.
And Aydin ties it all together.
Masterfully. Andrew Aydin, with his narrative mastery, skillfully ties this climactic chapter to the broader narrative frame, bringing us back to the present moment of Obama's inauguration. This creates a perfect and inspiring finale for the book, demonstrating in a truly profound way how Lewis's early struggles and sacrifices directly shaped a pivotal moment in American history, leaving us with a powerful sense of both accomplishment and ongoing purpose, a call to continued action. Their combined storytelling ensures that the listener feels both the triumph and the solemn, enduring weight of the journey.
Wow. This victory in Nashville is such a powerful reminder, isn't it? That sustained, courageous action can bring about real, tangible change, even against seemingly insurmountable odds. It makes us consider our own role in continuing the march for justice, even in small, persistent ways within our own lives and communities. What small steps can you identify in your own sphere, inspired by this monumental victory, to contribute to a more just and equitable world?
A question worth pondering for everyone.
Definitely. And with that, we conclude our deep dive into March, Book 1. If you've enjoyed this journey, if it has informed and inspired you, please like, subscribe, and share this deep dive. Your engagement helps us bring more incredible stories to light and ensure these crucial historical narratives reach a wider audience, continuing their impact.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. We've journeyed with John Lewis from the dusty cotton fields of rural Alabama to the victorious, desegregated streets of Nashville, witnessing the birth of a movement forged in unimaginable courage and unwavering nonviolence. We've seen firsthand the electrifying power of deep conviction, the profound pain of resistance, and the ultimate triumph of persistence that so clearly defined the early, foundational days of the civil rights movement.
The story of March. Book 1 stands as a powerful, enduring testament to resilience, illustrating how a young man's spirit, deeply shaped by the unwavering strength of family and the profound solace of faith, truly could not be broken by the harsh, dehumanizing realities of Jim Crow. It showcases with stark clarity the strategic brilliance of nonviolent direct action.
Proving it was powerful, not passive.
Exactly, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was not a passive or weak choice, but an incredibly active, powerful, and profoundly effective method for challenging deeply entrenched injustice. And it powerfully underscores the unwavering belief that a more just world is not just a distant dream, but is truly possible through sustained, collective, courageous effort. It reminds us that every single step, every act of defiance, every protest, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, contributes inexorably to the larger arc of history, bending it steadily, hopefully, towards justice.
And it feels so relevant today. This isn't just a historical account that we simply read about in textbooks. It's a living, breathing blueprint for how ordinary people, driven by an extraordinary, unshakable conviction, can spark and sustain extraordinary transformative change.
It shows the potential we all have.
It really does. It shows us with vivid clarity that true progress often comes with a significant price, a price often paid in profound personal sacrifice, agonizing physical pain, immense emotional toll. But the courage to pay it defines generations and ultimately reshapes the very landscape of a nation. It's a profound lesson in individual and collective agency and the immense potential for impact when people choose to act.
Which leads to a final thought, perhaps. As you reflect on John Lewis's early journey, from quietly dreaming of a bigger, more just world on an Alabama farm, to actively leading sit-ins that profoundly changed a city and inspired a nation, consider this. In a world still grappling with various forms of injustice, discrimination, inequality, what good trouble might you be called to make? Inspired by the quiet courage of a boy who dared not just to dream of justice, but then stood up and unequivocally demanded it, step by persistent, courageous step.
A powerful question to leave us with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into March. Book 1. We truly hope you feel more informed, profoundly inspired, and perhaps even ready to explore these topics further. Maybe by picking up the book yourself and continuing the journey.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep making history.